Taming Lightning is supported by the Pittsburgh Glass Center, who has encouraged my exploration, research, and development of a space for plasma and neon sculpture. The Pittsburgh Glass Center is a nonprofit, public access school, gallery, and state-of-the-art glass studio dedicated to teaching, creating, and promoting glass art. Glass art. We teach it, we create it, we promote it. We support those who make it. A quick update of the workshops offered at PGC this summer. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, expect cancellations or rescheduling of workshops from here on out. At the release of this episode, the plasma class taught by Ed Kirshner, Plasma Vessels Using Glass Solder, has been canceled and rescheduled for summer 2021. And the August Hot Shop class taught with Patrick Collentine, It's All About the Light, it's still running. We have 2 seats remaining. There are bound to be new updates as things progress. With this in mind, please hold off on booking your flights and hotels and keep your eyes peeled for updates by visiting the website. For more information, please check us out on the web at www.pittsburghglasscenter.org or call our studio at 412-365-2145. Taming Lightning is affiliated with the Plasma Art Alliance. Their mission is to promote illuminated plasma and glass as a sculptural art medium, foster public awareness of this art form through exhibitions, conferences, and educational outreach, and support the exchange of information related to techniques and technologies essential to the advancement of the field. PAA will serve the growing interest of this art for the mutual benefit of artists, enthusiasts, and patrons. If you're interested and would like to join, please check us out on the web at www.plasmaartalliance.com. I'd like to mention a support option for Taming Lightning, which is Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/taminglightning. With this, you're basically donating or giving a tip at the cost of a $3 cup of coffee, based on how you think I'm doing, and if you like the project, it's nice and supported. Your donation goes directly to the podcast for means of assisting with audio equipment upgrades, billing or hosting, software and services used in processing the audio, and future travel and professional content. You are by no means obligated to donate, but any support, including commenting and sharing, is appreciated. Welcome back, or welcome to the Taming Lightning podcast. I'm Percy Eccles II. I'm the creator and host of Taming Lightning, as well as the emerging plasma tech at Pittsburgh Glass Center. Taming Lightning podcast features a series of conversations to help expand our understanding of plasma and neon light, looking beyond its associations with novelty and sign making, and to explore the potential for noble gases as an artistic medium. The intro is Boost by Joachim Karud. Joachim is a Swedish artist who loves to produce chill and happy music, and does so for copyright-free use. Be sure to support his music by giving credit when used, subscribing, and or by donation. You can find him on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Hello, Lightning Tamers. This is episode number 27. In today's podcast, we have Enlightened Arts with Candice Watkins, who had formerly worked with neon, illuminated art, sculpture, and site-specific projects, and currently works at organizing and promoting events here in Columbus, Ohio. Just in case there may be any concern, this podcast was recorded in early March 2020, prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, thank you for your concern, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Second time back in, well, not only the second time back into Columbus, third time, but second time we're, meeting you here. And I came down here from Pittsburgh because I knew I needed to get you on the podcast. It's better to see people in person, especially if you're that close. So absolutely, and it's wonderful to see you again. What a treat. Yeah, I'm always kind of interested in people's backgrounds into neon and where they are now, and the fascination is still there. I know the fascination with neon is still there. Of course. I don't think it goes away. If you've built something that lights up,
you're always going to want to build things that light up.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else satisfies you. You can do other things, but they're really practice more than what you want to be doing.
Right. And so you're Candice Watkins.
I am.
But you go by Candy.
I do.
The sweet nature, right?
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure everyone would agree with that.
That's okay. So when I usually start the podcast, I'm usually asking about people's backgrounds. I've heard your background several times here, but this is definitely mostly for our audience here. So you came to Neon. Was that after Glass? Was that...
No, I was a printmaker and a painter, and I owned a costume jewelry company. I came to Neon by the way of a friend had given me a green neon tube and a beer transformer. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. It was kind of fun to have laying around. I got very gravely ill, and I had been living with a person at the time, and we were building what's called a time capsule, and we had dug a huge hole in the yard, and then the time capsule wasn't going to happen until spring of the next year. So this hole was in the yard, and I was sick, and I kind of looked at it like, well, that's pretty negative out there in the yard. And so I went out and stuck the green neon in the hole with the transformer in a drywall bucket. And when it snowed and things that winter, it glowed through all of that and kind of gave me a warmth and a sense of hope through all of the negative things I was going through. And once I realized that, I realized the power of light to kind of heal and give people hope.
And then after that, you decided to go and make work with us. Now,
it was hard to do anything else. And so my first pieces were very linear, and they were integrated with my fiber work at the time. So I had tubes that were wrapped with fiber and then long straight shots of neon that were worked in with them. It was an interesting collection. It was interesting to work fiber and heat together. And it led me a lot of good places. So I was really grateful for that experience.
Now, you were working with other people working with neon at that point. At some point, you got to start bending yourself. Is that correct?
I know how to work in neon. I'm not proficient as much in neon as probably I would like to be, but I don't think that's ever going to happen again. But I can bend tubing, and I can attach electrodes, and I can pump a tube. That doesn't mean that I'm as good as people like Tony Greer or Henry Levine or you at doing these things. So I preferred to work with people. And a lot of my work is collaborative. If you look on my website, you'll see I credit everyone I collaborate with. Collaborative work is so much fun. Mm-hmm. So much more fun than working alone.
And then today you're not making work as you did before.
This era, in this decade of my life, I am not working as much in neon. I will help people repair things, and I will do things for them. But I'm not making art right now. My art has been my production of events, and I do 6 major events in our town a year, where I do either the permitting and compliance or do the whole back of the house, which is the part that you don't notice when you walk in.
Right. And you've been in Columbus for quite a long time here.
I was born here. I was born in Grant Hospital in 1947. So I'm old.
But there's something amazing about the use of light, and even though you've changed what you create now, which is now events, what was it that drew you into that light? What is that amazing thing that you had to do with neon and had to do with light?
Well, it kind of evolved. My first pieces, as I told you, were kind of linear, and then I did a bunch of more conceptual works where I laid like neon on the floors, propped up on glass blocks, and then threw packing peanuts on it and made a campfire, and then recorded how people behaved around the campfire. Things like that were interesting to me. Human behavior around the light, working with reflections from the light, things that were unseen but seen. So I still sort of do that. I work with things that you don't really notice, but they're there. And I anticipate working in light again, just probably not in the same way.
It's kind of similar to Cork Marcheski and his works, where he's using the light from the neon, not the neon itself, to really capture something amazing about light.
Well, in neon, there's that quality that there's more than one color, there's more than one light. So in some of my work that you've looked at today, you even commented, you can't do that with LEDs. You can't make that happen with anything but neon. Mm-hmm. It's true, and I really enjoyed being able to work with the reflected light with cut paper and cut filters. And you can layer filters together and get different effects. You really get marvelous things working with just red and blue neon, or red and blue illuminated tubing, because red is really the only neon. But but you have to concentrate, and you have to take care that really will be. You have to have faith, because you're only working in two colors.
Yeah.
But all those other colors come out.
Yeah, the work in neon, I run into a few people that's been pretty successful, but most of their work has to do with the commercial aspect, and we're seeing the surgence of youth that are doing neon. One as part of a fabricator, as a bender, another as someone who's using that as a way to make work. What do you foresee in your interactions or your observations, the future of neon in general here?
I do believe there will be a resurgence of interest in neon itself, in illuminated tubing work. I think that it's important that we understand that we've got to go beyond sign work. Signs are great. Don't get me wrong. It's the root of everything that we've done. And without sign work, nobody would have learned to do anything else with illuminated tubes. So, but I don't think it's where it's going. I think there'll be a lot more artwork made with illuminated tubes, and with light in general. I think light workers are becoming more prevalent, whereas they were just non-existent when I was young.
Yeah, we're seeing that in terms of movie set work, design space. Like yesterday I was up in Elwood, Pennsylvania, and I was meeting with Hugh Ellis, and he was doing a project where he's doing specialized lighting for a new brewery that's going up in Pittsburgh.
Sounds great.
And I say new brewery, but there's always new breweries popping up in Pittsburgh, so it's not like I'm saying anything very specific, but it's just amazing to see that some of these design aspects are popping in. It's not just sign work.
Architecturally, lights are huge.
Yeah.
If you know what to do with them, you can set a mood in a room and then change the mood almost instantaneously. You just have to know how to handle the lights. It's not always just about putting soffit lighting in.
Yeah. And it got me really inspired, because I've been messing around with plasma a whole bunch, and I know you love that as well.
Oh, I love plasma tubes, yeah.
And you've been working with Tony Greer on some of those plasma things.
What a great artist. We did a series called The Dream Bottles, wherein we sort of connected and talked and dreamed together of things. And he sent me these beautiful things, one of which you just saw and took a couple pictures of. He's an amazing talent, and a really much under-recognized talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a really beautiful piece.
Yeah.
And I can see why, you wouldn't have any more around you. They must have gone pretty quickly when you had them out
anything
there.
that we did together was gone almost immediately. Things that you, like I said, you try and grab things, but you often end up with the things that didn't sell.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm grateful for what I have from the collections that I've had. And when I'm asked to sell things out of it, I don't anymore.
Yeah. I want to pause real quick. So I want to ask you about some of the artists or shows that you have put together. And
I've had a great run. I've had a lot of fun. One of my favorite places to show was Lima, Ohio, and I know that sounds crazy, but we used to do a biannual there. And Rocky Pinciotti got me involved. Rocky's from Toledo. He and Phil Hazard. They're both fabulous, fabulous artists. And he got me involved. We got up there, and we had so much fun. We were showing in this old building, and all the neon was up on a balcony so that it glowed up in the top of this theater. It was great. Notwithstanding, we all got stuck in the elevator at one point, but we had so much fun going there and always loved seeing each other every 2 years. So we built this wonderful rapport. From that, we grew into showing at the Zenith Gallery in Washington, D.C. with Marjorie Goldberg, also a fabulous wood artist and neon artist. She's just amazing. Her energy level and the way she handles her gallery is just fabulous. At the time, the gallery was sitting right almost across from the National Archives. Mm-hmm. So you would stand in that window and realize where you were and how wonderful it was to be in your nation's capital. We were always there during the inaugurals, which was weird. And so the guys we liked, it was good. The guys we didn't like, it was always a little weird. But it was interesting to see DC go through those changes, to see the way art was perceived through those changes. It went from a very modern kind of feel to a more traditional feel in those years. So it was very interesting. Marjorie eventually closed that gallery, and she now still has galleries throughout DC, and is still working. She does great. So I would encourage anybody to look up the Zenith Gallery and check that out.
I've been asked to put together a show at the Pittsburgh Glass Center's Hodge Gallery for neon and plasma. And you've had experience with setting up shows and setting up things in various spaces. Now, I'm kind of doing the hand of death here for you because I don't have an image of that space, but it's a really large, open, long space. What are some of the difficulties I could have with setting up neon in spaces like that?
Oh, there's a lot. One of the things you have to remember is neon actually reflects off everything. So say you decide you want to put a few paintings in or things that have glass coverings. They can't be across from anything neon because the neon's going to reflect in the glass. Neon's going to shine off any oil painting surface. It's going to change colors of things. So you're going to have beautiful colors that'll turn into mud if you put blue neon next to them, So the best bet when you're doing a show like that is to space your pieces out. Only really do illuminated works. Don't try and mix the works. Mixing the works is much harder. And there's some beautiful pictures of some galleries with pieces in them. Somehow the pieces always seem smaller when you see them in pictures than when you're in the gallery and feeling the energy from the light. But do look at some pictures of various shows, and I'd be glad to come to Pittsburgh and help you.
Yeah, I definitely would love to get your assistance on that. I know some people, but I think I need an extra input on curating that portion of that.
I would love to do that. I'm a good extra set of hands.
And then, talking about that, do you think you may put in some work for that as well?
Well, it depends. I'm not sure I would do new work, although I might do something conceptual for you that's just, not really a piece, just a conceptual piece.
Nice. Any other things that you can kind of highlight on what it takes to kind of bring in people to see, I guess, even though we have people working with neon today and have used neon artistically, do people still have a perception of neon being very much sign work and not seeing it as artwork? Is it very hard to see work that really represents itself as art?
Yes. Yes, it's a simple answer. Yes, it's really difficult because of the advent of LED lights, the advent of these lights that you can almost twist in knots, and they still give you a complete light, not like neon, not like illuminated tubing, because they don't have the different colors along the edges and the quality that illuminated tubing has, that kind of juiciness. You just want to take it and pinch it because it's just so lovely. Yeah. They don't have that. But they have the light. So people are used to doing a lot of interesting things that we never had with light. You can buy a quasi-neon palm tree for $25 on eBay now. Yeah. In the old days, if you wanted a neon palm tree, you might as well fork over $1,000 and hope that you got it. So I think there is a lot of room for art. I think that a lot of neon has gotten replaced in art by LEDs. Because they're more controllable. They're not as hot. When you go through a piece, you don't have to worry about the electrode heat or any of that. You rarely have to worry about it burning out like we do transformers. You walk around my house and you see 3 or 4 pieces that don't work because I need to fix transformers. But I think there's such a huge future for it. And I think that there are people that see the depth in it and understand it. Do I think it's going to be a forever media? I hope so. I really hope so. I don't think it's quite got the depth painting does from like the old masters, but 200, 300 years from now, somebody's going to pull up one of your neons or one of my neons and go, look at this. Can we plug this in? What do you think this will do? And it may do something because they're sealed systems. And yes, they could last. So there's that with them. The fragility is the real issue. I can't tell you how many things I've broken on the way to shows. Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned, will it have the same impact eventually that the old masters of the mediums of that were initially crafted and became art, right? I think it might not be a matter of time, but a matter of story. Because looking back at that, it's sometimes a matter of story, their own level of advertising that gets there.
You may be right. I mean, there's a quality about it that's endearing and will hold it. At the same time, if again, we can't keep it. Yeah. If you crack a tube, it's not pumped anymore. Right. You can see where it was, but you can't see the light. Yeah. So I don't know. Some of the technology we had back in the 70s and 80s is gone. So we have to make sure the technology to light these things up remains. Because it may not. Yeah. And I think it's pretty scary, but it may not.
Yeah, it's something I've also been thinking about in that same regards is that, as I've been talking more and more to people like yourself and those who have been doing neon for a long time, and then kind of reading a couple of different things, I'm seeing in the same light that there are things that, while in preservation, they don't know exactly what's going on to be able to.
We don't know how to keep it.
Right. If a piece from Paul's side,
you crack that electrode off the end, just the little the silicone seal on it.
Yep. You won't have a
you don't have
piece.
Light.
And then if his transformer is customized and hand built or whatever, which I read some article, but I'm not sure about how to contact them directly. Then, all right, does someone know how to address relighting that piece?
Oh, right. I have Tech 2000 hand-built transformers in a lot of stuff. Things that I'd say, here's what I'm making, here's what you need. One-ended electrode transformers, all kinds of weird stuff. Yeah. Yeah. How do you fix that if you can't repeat it?
So someone's got to be there to see that through.
There's got to be someone that actually preserves the technology.
Yeah, that right.
I would assume that the transformer companies may be preserving their technology, although really, who knows? Right. I know that Tech 2000's been doing transformers for 30 or 40 years now.
And I've been, the more and more I dive into this world of neon and plasma, it opens me up more to the world that's already there.
It does, right.
You got in conservation, there may be someone who focuses specifically on technology and making sure that that is repeated in whatever artwork or whatever is being preserved. And then you got people in the science and engineering department, electrical. You got people installing and understanding the ways of engineering in terms of installing things and safety and so on legal. It's interesting to think about how one interest and one's obsession with light can lead them to seeing the world more fully.
I think that you do see the world more fully. It opens just that section of your brain that was closed, that most people are closed to. You know it. It's that tingly part, where you go, oh, that's neat. How rarely do we feel that? And how often do we want it? And so for me, like sitting and working neon with Henry Levine in the old days, just sitting around making things that could hold up spheres, it was just so much fun and gave me such a sense of history. Gave me a sense of the guys that must have invented this, how are they doing this? And here we are tying knots in it with heat and, how's that going to work? And can we make a right angle? And can we, all of the things that are difficult.
Yeah. Is there any kind of closing statements you'd like to make for our podcast or any last notes for any of our listeners?
I just want people to remember what neon is and what illuminated tubing is and keep working in it and keep appreciating it. And remember, it's light in a bottle. I mean, it's just so brief and so fragile and so wonderful. Don't forget that you can do so many things with it. Just keep pushing the boundaries.
Thank you. One last thing I try to ask my guest here, if there's anyone that you believe that you would like to hear from on the podcast, or really anyone would love to hear from, who would that be? And you can list a couple if you like.
I think people would love to hear from Tony Greer because he's amazing, and he's an amazing technician and artist. I think Phil Hazard's fun. He's teaching in Toledo, and I think you all would just love hearing from him. He's a painter and a neon worker, and he works them together. So he's got a whole different perspective. And Rocky Pinciotti is incredible, and he's still in New York. All of them are easy to find, and if you need to, I'll network you with them.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
The outro is The Process by Lakey Inspired. Jordan, aka Lakey, is a Los Angeles-based artist with the goal of inspiring others to create by sharing positive music around the world. Thus, he works hard to produce music every week for copyright-free use. So be sure to support his music by giving credit when used, subscribing, and or by donation via Patreon. You can find him on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify.
Thank you for listening to the Taming Lightning podcast. I'd like to thank Candice Watkins for the warm welcome into her home in Columbus and for taking the time to record for the podcast. I do hope we get to work together on the Neon and Plasma exhibition at the Pittsburgh Glass Center. And speaking of which, I also like to thank the Pittsburgh Glass Center for supporting me as a place of research and inspiration, and also the Plasma Art Alliance, where I have an access to a well of knowledge and connects me to some amazing and supportive people. If you'd like to support Taming Lightning, subscribe to the newsletter on www.taminglightning.net or follow on Instagram at Taming Lightning. Other options for support are donations through Ko-fi, spelled ko-fi.com/taminglightning, where you can donate for the price of a $3 cup of coffee. Links will be provided in the show notes below. Feel free to share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, be safe, be healthy, be strong, and I'll see you next time.